bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here.
Ça me préoccupe personnellement à tel point que je me demande comment faire si on n'y a pas les exercices spirituels. Vous dormez, parfois vous rêvez, mais vous ne savez pas traduire vos rêves. Vous ne sentez pas que vous êtes le plus proche du vide. Et, par exemple, des moments qui commencent à vous indexer des magiciens, des sorciers, des marabouts. Et vous vous demandez vous-même, mais qu'est-ce qui se passe? Qu'est-ce que je fais?
Bon, donc, ce n'est pas moi seul qui a cette préoccupation, parce que je me demande ce qu'il faut faire.
Mais qu'est-ce qu'il a dit? Qu'est-ce qu'il dit qu'on peut faire?
Il a dit que chacun doit imaginer ce qu'il va faire pour arriver à ce stade. Vraiment, c'est quelque chose qui me décourage chaque fois que j'arrive. Si vous comprenez l'anglais vraiment, si vous comprenez l'anglais profondément, écoutez, il y a des fois, il paraît que je dois dormir parce que je ne sais pas quoi faire. Donc, vous êtes à combien là-bas?
Non, chacun est chez lui. Moi, je suis seul.
OK.
Chacun est chez lui, je suis seul. J'étais avec le petit Valentin, il est parti, lui est chrétien. Bon.
Mm-hmm. Bon, c'est ça que j'étais en train de discuter avec lui. Parce que ce processus-là, c'est vraiment difficile à comprendre. Bon, je vais lui poser cette question. Je vais réitérer, et, comme tu as aussi cette préoccupation, je vais lui poser encore cette question. Ce qu'il faut faire, et dire, si tu n'es pas en mesure de percevoir et d'être reconnaissant des guides, et ce qui est la vie, tu es futur, et malgré que tu as lu les livres et tu as chanté le son, le nom, mais si tu n'es pas en mesure d'être reconnaissant de ce qui se passe, vraiment, ça me bouleverse. Ça me bouleverse. Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire? Bon, je lui pose ça, je traduis. OK?
Et allez-y.
Hein?
Allez-y.
Okay, Duane, I've been talking with, trying to summarize what we've been saying to a new friend here in Congo, and his concern is, how do we, what do we do to perceive and recognize the reality that life is? What do we do? We have been singing the new and reading the new books, and that is insufficient to go by what you've just been explaining. So he doesn't understand what else one has to do. He says, in order, well, there's always this borrowing from the past, from some other places. Is it that one has to do some special kind of exercise or some special kind of activity to be able to perceive and recognize life for what it is, and to see what all that you are talking about. So he's in a kind of fix. So he says, I should ask you this question.
Yeah, I get it, Charles, but it's how you make the statement. So again, you're telling him that what you've done with the books and the new you or whatever you said is ineffective or whatever. No, I didn't say that. Those are steps that you go through. You still use those things, you still breathe air, you still eat every day, you still drive your car, okay? But that no longer becomes, everything to you. That's all. You don't get rid of it. No, that's not the idea. But the best thing is to also practice to be now and learn to see and deal with what is taking place now, and at the same time, learn to see what else there is that your personal self cannot see. So these are simply ideas that I'm giving you. In other words, if you just be the same as all you've always been, then that's all you're going to be. If you just see things the same way, if you just do the same likes and dislikes, and it doesn't mean getting rid of them. If you don't like to eat broccoli, don't eat it, okay? But the thing is that, no, nothing is negated, Charles. That's not it. See, when you start saying things like that, then you confuse people. That's the difference. No, just like we go through grades. You needed the first grade. You teach kids. They need kindergarten. They need first grade and second grade. You don't negate these things. You go through them, and they become a reference. Everything is a reference. Never said negate anything. What I've said is step into it and face everything, okay? There's no negating with that, because that's why you're here. But as you chop it up and the words you say, be careful. The thing is that then, yes, you're confusing people. But then again, they're going to be confused anyhow, because you're not going to get the answer of life. See, this is how we've been taught. We've been taught to be literal, and it's like, oh, you just ask the question, you get the answer. Guess what? No such thing. If you're doing math problems, 2 plus 2, that's different. You're literal. But when it comes to recognizing the whole of life, well, that's an endless process. That's not overnight. That's like endless. But the best thing to do is, like the sun shining, be now and go on the adventure of learning to see what you've never seen before, and then learn to figure it out. Okay, so again, you have these 5 bodies, and you start from there. And you learn to understand these 5 bodies, and especially the intuitive one, the subconscious, because that is the connection, that is the closest connection that you're going to understand to your real awareness. All right, so that's going to take time. But again, it's not negated. I'm just saying that you're singing the new you, you're reading the books, you're doing whatever you can. Yes, that's in the physical sense, that's the personal sense, that's fine. But that's just to set you up so that you can eventually see how to become more aware and be involved with that. You see? Again, nothing is negated. No. You don't throw away your old shoes and pants, just because you bought new ones. No, you still keep those because you're going to wear them once in a while. You're going to utilize those ideas once in a while, etc. See? So again, it's how you word it, Charles. That's where you scare people. Yeah, nothing is negated. They don't have to get rid of anything. They just learn to see more with what's going on from their point of view. See? And the best way to do that is to learn to be now, because it's all now. It's not in the future. It's not that you're getting somewhere. Those are ideas in your mind. Yes, you utilize those. If you take a trip, you plan the trip. Of course, you do. But realistically, you're always now. And the only way you're going to see the whole of life, but you're not going to see it. You're never going to see it, because it's endless and it's invisible. And you're never really going to know it. Yeah. You think you will, but you got to get past that too. But in other words, I'm just giving you ideas. In other words, just that you don't just stop everything. No, you see these things and use them as references to compare to get there. So yeah, like the sun shining, how do I become like the sun? Well, that's going to take you a few minutes, isn't it? Maybe thousands of lifetimes, but you can start now. It's not going to be overnight. So it's not about getting an answer. It's learning to, just be ready for what comes next. Be now, be ready, be aware, figure it out. Okay? And yes, fortunately, you do have the new presentation and things there. But again, it's a reference to the real universes, but it's not a matter of going somewhere. Again, there's no up or down, better or worse. No, it's an isness. And it is all now. But that doesn't totally refer to creation. But the isness life is now. And you decide how you're going to recognize it and how you're going to demonstrate it and do something accordingly. You can get all kinds of answers, just like we present things to the world. But until the person starts to do something, decide something, hey, I didn't always know what to do, but I started something. I would look at things and I go, okay, I'll start this. I'll start the Worldwide Educators. Let's try that and then work on it. And so now it's become what it has. But I had to decide something, because if I didn't, it wouldn't be there. And plus everything else. Had to decide it. Somebody had to. I don't sit and wait for others to decide it. That's why when I was in the corporation, I wasn't going to call up the international office and say, well, gee, is it okay if I do this and go out and do this lecture at the library? What would they say? Well, I would be talking to maybe a second initiate, where I was the higher initiate and I already had experience out there years, so I got to listen to them. It's like, well, this is what you should do, Duane. Page 7 of the guidelines explains how you're to do this. Well, I'm not reading page 7, okay? It's like when I get the bike, I just put it together and ride it. That's the real experience. And I'll figure out from there. And if I forgot to screw on the front tire and it comes off, well, I'll figure that out too. So this is how life really is. See, we want it all encased into ideas that make the personal self comfortable and feel good and feel safe, which there's no such thing as. No such thing. Yeah, that's how real it gets. You want to get real? Well, then step up and get real. Be now, learn to see what's going on, decide to do something. Again, many of the things you're referring to and talking about, see, people are still looking for a savior. You're looking for something to save you. There's no such thing. The boys can't save you because it's about awareness. It's like the air you breathe. They can't breathe the air for you. If you ain't breathing, can they breathe for you? No, they can't do that. So you got to figure it out. You got to figure everything out. But you have the opportunity. You have references now that are better than ever, and they're not baloney, and they're not just literal. Okay? We went through the literal stuff. That's a reference of basically what not to do. But you use your literal side still, but you want to see more. You want to see it to where, it just, it's like something solid, but then all of a sudden you see all the atoms and the molecules that make it up, and it's really not solid, is it? You only thought it was. So you want solid ideas? No, you can have them for the moment, but guess what? It has nothing to do with the whole of life. And, when you ask the question, well, gee, how do we figure out life? No such thing. It's an isness now, and every moment is new, but you have to recognize that new moment. New, 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 new. It all is. And guess what? Everything is there. You just have to see it. I don't read books to, get my information, whether I write. I just see it, and then I write it because I see it. See? It's in the scene. It's in the awareness. You look to your mind, May as well look to your computer and talk to your computer. Talk to the drywall on your wall, whatever. What does it know? Your mind only knows so much. It knows its capsulated experiences. That's it. And you can talk about your experiences. I do. But that's all they are. But life is real. It's the awareness. That's how the boys are. Being to being. It's so cool. This is a time like never before in history. In the history of creation, even. Yeah. It is so cool. Amazing romantic adventure, more so than anything. But you got to see it. You got to figure it out. And that's the best part. Because if you think you know what it is, guess what? You don't. You're not even close. You got nothing. But nothing is negated. Okay? There are no no-nos. Everything is fine. You'll figure it out. Yes. This is the best of all times. But you got to see it, Charles. There you go.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors.